I don't know why, but I've had a really tough time getting motivated the last couple days. I don't know if it's... Whoa, forgot that back was so far. I mean, the weather's been nice. I don't know if it was because I was running so hard last week. Wednesday. Today is Wednesday, and I wanted to do a why Wednesday. And to be honest, the question I had that started this, I don't really have an answer to. This may not be anything anybody but me questions. I'm still going to question it anyway. Because, I mean, I'd like to know. So if any of you out there know why this is, post down in the comments and let me know. Because I have other empty chairs here and no one to discuss it with except you. So my why question is, why is it so many, my sunglasses on, sorry, homestead, permaculture people are in the southeast? I started looking at my YouTube subscriptions and noticed that so many of them are from the south, and a lot of them actually are in North Carolina, like Justin Rhodes, Joel Salatin, he's the king of permaculture or something. I'm pretty sure he's in North Carolina. Sow the Land, Honey Tree Farm, I think the Fit Farmer is down there. I have a few subscriptions to people in Arkansas, Oklahoma, Living Traditions Homestead, Missouri. I might have one or two others in Missouri. And I do have a couple subscriptions to somebody out in the Southwest. But why is it all these big YouTube permaculture / homestead channels are in the South? And that was my question, why? But doing some research, it was kind of difficult to do research about why permaculture YouTube channels are in the South. Didn't get many results, but then I did start finding out there's a fair chunk of people in Idaho, which to me seems strange, but there's some homesteaders out in Idaho. Oh, I do have one in Alaska there. I think Simple Living Alaska, maybe. I found a couple in Illinois, one down south, one was in Shawnee. Found one small channel up in Michigan, maybe a couple in Wisconsin. When I actually started looking for homestead-specific channels in Illinois or Wisconsin or whatever, we are by no means self-sufficient, trust me. Why is that? Is it because the laws are such that it's easier for them? Is Justin Rhodes' connection to all these other little YouTube channels in that area? Like, I know they're connected to Sow the Land, White House on the Hill, I think, and Fit Farmer, Honey Tree Farm, I think, are somehow connected. Is it just like a friend thing? Oh, you should start doing this. You should start doing YouTube channel, and that trade subscriptions and stuff connected that way. But the one reason why I think a lot of my subscription channels were to the Southeast is because of my search history. I started kind of with Justin Rhodes and then Living Traditions Homestead. So when YouTube sees that search history, it's going to pull algorithms with those similar channels in the similar zone. These are also huge channels. You guys have suggestions of other channels I should watch. I totally be game for that. I've also like to see how they've grown over time, or if you're a starting channel, how you're growing over time. Homesteady, it's a YouTube channel as well. They started in Connecticut and moved to Pennsylvania. They pointed out that they get this question of what's the best state to homestead in, and it depends on your criteria. It depends on what you need as part of your homestead. Illinois, I think, finally passed a law where you can sell raw milk, but only a certain quantity. There's several states that don't allow you to sell raw milk, and they want it shelf stable. They want it safe for consumers. But that's one thing that homesteaders want to make sure that they have access to is raw milk. If they don't have the cow themselves, then they want to be able to purchase it. Another thing is taxes. Illinois itself has pretty high taxes, and I think I'm going to get on the political bandwagon, if we annexed out Chicago, it's over that way. If we annexed out Chicago, our tax bracket would totally change. And in these southern states, especially Missouri, I know their taxes, their real estate prices are totally different. Illinois, a good plot of farm ground in this area can easily be $16,000 an acre, and nobody can hardly afford that. Even timber ground, pull people from the city to hunt, or they want a cabin in the woods to get away for the weekend. Even those prices have been going up in Illinois, which is kind of good for the economy, but on the other hand, it's not good for the locals that want to purchase their own home or property. Or the last few years, it's kind of been a joke that everybody's moving out of Illinois. Nobody wants to move into Illinois. So those are some of the questions I have. Why are these especially these big successful YouTube channels in the Southeast? Raw milk might be one, I'm not sure it is, but definitely taxes, the price of land. I think Justin Rhodes sort of inherited his property, I'm not entirely sure, don't quote me on that. And other laws, Homesteady was worried about the homeschooling laws. You know, they wanted to be able to homeschool their 5 kids, I think he said, and so that's part of their criteria of us choosing a state to live in. If you're going to homeschool your kids, food service laws. Illinois is, I believe, very strict about their food sanitation laws, and I get that you need to have the consumer safety first in mind. I'm not discrediting that at all, but there are some very strict criteria. I worked in a restaurant catering business for several years. In fact, that was one of my first jobs in high school, was at a restaurant, and over the years the changes that were required were too much. You know, we started being required to wear long sleeves and hairnets, and yeah, people get sued because they found a hair in their food and it's gross, I get that, but when you're dealing around gas stoves and you're wearing long sleeves, if you have a flare up and you're going to catch on fire. Where is the logic in that? But the food laws, if you're a homesteader and you go to market and you want to take breads and baked goods and stuff like that, in Illinois, you have to register with the state, you have to go through a bunch of cottage food laws, you have to go to the class, pass the test, and if you own the restaurant, you have to have every employee do that, and I'm guessing some restaurants are just finding it's not worth it. They're probably paying for the class for the employee, and it's not cheap. It's like I think it was like $150, $200 for one person, and if you have 10 employees, that's $2,500 a year just to keep up with the certifications. So I think Illinois probably isn't one of the most ideal states for homesteading because of that aspect. For us, farm fresh eggs, we can sell off the farm, no problem. But if we were to start going to markets, we have to file with the state. We have to fill out some paperwork as part of the filing. We have to candle and weigh our eggs. We have to use new cartons. To me, I kind of try to do anyway, because if someone breaks an egg and the yolk gets in the carton, I really don't want to reuse that carton. I like to think our customers appreciate that. But a lot of other states, they reuse cartons. You know, you see store-bought cartons in their coolers when they're giving their tours of their farm stand. We also are subject to inspection by the state, and the hurdles that we have to go through for just a small scale egg production is almost not worth it. The fee might be minimal, but the process is just a headache, especially when you get the government involved. And this isn't for a political rant, that's just part of the way things work. But I'm wondering also if in the South and Southeast they have more lax regulations in terms of not just selling baked goods and stuff, but also like your eggs, your milk, your processed meat. That's another thing I've sort of looked into, but we are not to this place where we can sell any kind of chicken or beef or anything like that. There's a difference between selling the live animal, taking it to the locker, and then the consumer gives you a deposit for the animal and then they pay the locker for the processing, versus being able as the farmer to fully process that beef or that pig and then selling out partial. There's different rules per state, per maybe even county, of how you can handle that sale. Doesn't have to be USDA inspected. Not all meat lockers are USDA inspected or certified or something like that. I think we have to go maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours to get to a USDA inspected facility. So if we want to market our meat as USDA inspected, we have to travel farther, pay more for fuel, stress the birds out even more, or the pigs, or whatever we're butchering. And then that has to all factor into our price. And in our small farm community, I don't know if those prices that we would have to charge would actually sell. This is why I want to know why there's so many homesteaders in the South and Southeast. I'm talking kind of Oklahoma, going into Arkansas and Missouri, into, I guess that would be this direction for you guys, all the way into North Carolina. There's a lot of YouTube channels in North Carolina, and I don't know if that's because of my search history or if it's because of that's actually where they're growing, and not just as homesteads, but why YouTube homesteads? Why are there so many bigger homestead YouTube channels in those areas? So that was my why question for Wednesday. And I'm sure I could go ranting on and on and on more, but if you haven't already clicked off the video, I will probably just stop here with some things to think about. As a consumer, if you're in our area, north central Illinois, do you want to pay for locally grown farm fresh produce, either vegetables, eggs, meat from different species, or especially during these economic times, do you need those grocery store prices? I am seeing a shift in our farm Facebook groups of farmers selling out of their produce, not being able to keep up with demand, the sudden influx of people wanting to know where their food is coming from. Or is it really the grocery stores are out, so they do some Google searching and are finding you? How are you going to retain those customers? And this is a little bit of a tangent to my why are YouTube homesteaders in the Southeast. I also want to consider how this impacts farming in general. I am farmer related. Our area is mostly conventional. I call it conventional. I don't know if that's what everybody calls it. We do have some organic farms in the area, and I'm hoping they're also seeing an increase in sales. As the consumer, are you going to have to rely on grocery store prices? Are you going to have discounts and bulk buys? Or are you going to start focusing more on where your food is coming from? Is it local? Is it raised humanely? That's a big thing. I'd be interested as consumers where you see your food coming from. If you've stayed with me this far, thank you. And let me know how you're doing in the comments. There goes Raisin. She's on a mission. Let me know what you think about these topics, why you homestead YouTube channels and market garden. I'm kind of lumping that all together. Curtis Stone is a market gardener in Canada that I follow, but market gardening and homesteading YouTube channels in the Southeast and some South, and where you see your food coming from for your family in the future. Do you see it coming from a local farm, or do you see it coming from the stores? So if you haven't subscribed already, I'd really appreciate it if you would subscribe. There should be a button down somewhere in here. Consider commenting, liking, and sharing the videos. That really helps our channel. Feel free to contact us if you have any questions, especially about some of the computer stuff I've talked about in the past, and definitely with suggestions that you have for the future. Check us out at jctrustichomestead.com or our Facebook page, and we'll see you later. Thanks for joining me today in my why question.